Salutations from space, folks. This is Gemini Brett, the astronaut of more than astrology and celestial navigator of the StarryTelling Podcast, here with a video to present Tea Time with Leo. A look at the 2015 Leo Moon Game. So I've grabbed cups for the moon, and for the sun, and for earth. For all three are in this dance of the moon game. I haven't recorded one of these moon game videos since the Taurus Moonth because I've been very devoted to my StarryTelling podcast. I hope you've had a chance to check it out. If you haven't, you can find links to all 6 of the episodes I've recorded thus far at the homepage of my website, morethanastrology.com. But I couldn't resist recording a video for this Leo month because this is a very strong moon cycle indeed. So you can see here the 4 principal phases of this moon cycle. And the new moon will conjunct retrograde Venus. The first quarter moon will conjunct Saturn. The full moon will conjunct Neptune. And the third quarter in Gemini will not have any planetary conjunctions, but it has a pretty strong square to Neptune. So let's take a look at Leo, shall we? Who is Leo? The lion, the lioness, the fire. Leo, the roaring flames of fire. And Leo, a fixed sign, which shamanic astrology calls service to self-interest. The fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. I prefer service to self-growth and to bring in the Hermetic wisdom, as above, so below, as within, so without. And fixed, because fix yourself to fix the world. This is a great gift. This is a service to others. This is a service to spirit. But it can be very hard for us to tap into these service to self-growth archetypes because our culture would say that that is bad, that is selfish, that is egoic or vain. And this month, we're here to release that conditioning and own this roaring flame of Leo self-love. Fix our fires to fix the world's fire. So that fire, this element of spirit, of will. And for me, Aries, the first fire sign, is the spark that gets it started. Sagittarius, the last, is the smoke that rises. It travels far and wide, finding its way to the heavens. But there is no smoke without the roaring flames. And this is Leo, that burning fire of self-love at our cauldron. So self-love, pride, confidence, right? But we've been told that pride is arrogance, that confidence is cockiness. Of course it isn't. Lions roll in prides after all, do they not? Manifestation without hesitation. This is a true gift of Leo when it is shining in its brilliance. We are told Leo needs the stage, Leo needs the spotlight, and while that is certainly available in the Leo shadow, its highest octave shows us that the stage needs Leo because Leo is the spotlight, the illuminated one who has stoked those roaring flames of the fire so brightly that we can each ignite our candles from them, simply by unwrapping the present of their presence. True royalty, right? Not these shite examples that we are given, but the king whose horse is first in line, and the battle is worth fighting. And what battle is more worth fighting than this battle for self-love? Why is that a battle now? Why is it so easy for us to give our loves to others, to the earth, and to the world, and to take on their pain, to heal them, and so difficult for us to truly love ourselves, to forgive our own trespasses, to release our own debts? And this moon game, this Moonth, will give us a lot of opportunity to go into those places. So in the new moon time, when we plant these seeds of intention to anchor the Leo light and to purge the Leo shadow, can we plant seeds of self-love, of true creative confidence that will lead to brilliant manifestation? Can we plant the seeds that will allow us to stoke those flames of will, of sovereignty, and purge the shadows of arrogance and cockiness and all of these things that we have been told Leo is? But it is so much more. Can you devote yourself this month to burning self-love for the sake of manifesting true creation into these realms? Play, creativity, beautiful essences of Leo. And even on a highest level, if we're opening ourselves to allow Creator to create through us, still the canvas does not paint itself unless the brush is in our hand. Can we take that power back as Creator? And can we know that sometime to truly create, we first must destroy? Can we purge those shadows of the inner critic, of anything that would keep us from having this self-love and this manifestation? For these paintings, these sculptures, these poems, these art forms, these videos, whatever, they are all true reminders of our true masterpiece, us, for recreate our own reality, our own relationships, our own luck. And when the Leo flames burn brightly, we are in command of that fire of free will, of the sovereign free will, so we can really bring forward from within what we want to see in our world without. And here's the world way out. This is a look at August 14, around 6 a.m. Pacific time, 2015, of the solar system, the arrangement of the heavenly harmonies as they sing to us here on Earth. And we can zoom in a little bit and we will find the moon between Earth and Sun. Of course, this means new moon, right? And who else is here but Venus? So we have a new moon every 29.5 days as the moon comes between the Earth and the Sun in its orbit of the Earth. And we have a new Venus like this every 19 months. This is the Venus Synodic cycle. So this is one of the reasons why this new moon is so powerful. It also brings us the time of new Venus, this interior conjunction of Venus between Earth and Sun. This is as Venus is passing Earth, which means Venus is retrograde. It brings her closest to us. And she is in Kazemi, as the ancients would call it, getting powered up by the sun to plant seeds for her new quest, her new 19-month cycle, which will be in the sign of Leo. So heliocentric, but if we look at this geocentrically, after all, we do live on Earth, we can see how close moon and sun are. In fact, you can't even see the moon here on solar system scope, or Venus. They're all bundled together. And Mars and Jupiter and Mercury pretty close by. Saturn, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus. And this vision helps us see that these strange charts are just maps of that geocentric image. There's Mars, and Sun and Moon and Venus all huddled up together. Mercury, Jupiter. Some asteroid goddesses are here, so before we really dig into the charts, we'll look at some of those symbols for the glyphs. But I really want to look at this new Venus now, because the goddess Venus, the yin energy, the divine feminine, is being seated with a new quest. The moon with a new 29.5 day Moonth, the moon game, and Venus with a 19-month of 584 day cycle, where she is being born into the sign of Leo. I love these images by Josephine Wall. Here is this Leo goddess, the lioness with her lion and those roaring flames, the torch she carries. And the sunflowers, yeah? Leo in the old systems traditionally ruled by the sun. And here comes the moon to join. But who will this lioness be as the divine feminine investigates the Leo archetype for these next 19 months? Will she be Shiva or Cleopatra? Will she be Inanna, who we see here standing on the lions? Inanna is what the Sumerians called Venus, and the story of Inanna's descent into and ascent from the underworld, her death and rebirth, is a story of the dance of Venus with Earth and the Sun, her synodic cycle. This is something that I will be relaying in my StarryTelling podcast again and again during the course of this cycle. Will she be Sybil, the great mother, mater, perhaps an image of Earth herself, the true divine feminine essence? Will she be Sekhmet, the lion-headed goddess of Kemet, the lands we call Egypt? Well, this is an interesting angle here for this month. Sekhmet, it is said, came forth at the behest of Ra when humans started losing reverence for the netters, for the gods and goddesses. And she came here to get us back in line. And she came here as a very strong warrior presence, this lioness, running around and spilling blood. She was in such a destructive mode, having served her quest, that she was going to continue and destroy all until Ptah came, her consort, her partner of the sacred marriage of Yin and Yang. The story goes that Sekhmet had developed such a bloodlust that the only way the other principals could figure out to stop her was to disguise a bunch of red wine as blood so that she would drink it all down, and she got so drunk that she passed out. But when she woke up, her true love, Ptah, was there waiting for her and calmed her, and she's been a healing presence ever since. It's much like the story of Kali Ma and Shiva, who was Kala. And I looked into this story a little bit ago in the 4th episode of my StarryTelling podcast, and talked about Hanuman as well, who was another incarnation of Shiva. So Kali Ma came here to destroy a bunch of demons, and she did the trick, and she had to suck the blood from their truncated stumps after she was decapitating them, or new demons would form. But she, like Sekhmet, was out of control with this bloodlust, and Shiva saw that the only way to stop her from destroying all of creation was to lie in her path in a state of pure heart and pure consciousness. So we see this image a lot of Kali going to just squash the life out of him. But instead of lowering that foot as an attack, she decided to lower herself. They had eons of earth-shaking, galactic, perhaps Leo lovemaking, and it was all good. The balance of the Shiva and the Shakti, of the Yin and the Yang. Shakti, the feminine, that creative force. There is no purpose for the Yang, for the masculine, without it. It is source itself, but it's meant to be funneled through the masculine. She is the inhale, he is the exhale. I'm not talking about boys and girls. We all have our masculine, we all have our feminine. But we can see this as Venus and Mars, our closest planetary neighbors. Venus inhaling the fuel, the source of the sun, and then Mars exhaling that into interstellar space, meant to be balanced. And so much of this Moonth brings this empowerment of Venus and Mars, of the yin and the yang coming back together, so we can continue to put an end to this nonsense that has corrupted our collective consciousness for too long now. Aren't we here to devote ourselves to that? And this year of 2015 brings us beautiful opportunity to bring new balance to the yin and the yang energies within and without, and we will see how that story also unfolds during this Moonth's game. So to the charts. Alright, again, new moon is the time to plant the seeds, to set the intentions. How will I, Leo? I don't care if your sun is Leo, your moon is Leo, your Venus, your Mars, your Jupiter, your Saturn, whatever. If you have no planets in Leo, we are all of the signs. All of these archetypes, they live, they breathe, they love to express through us. How can we really own our Leo? How can we stoke those flames of self-love and purge the critic that would keep us from manifesting our true art, our true creation? How can we take back play in the unbridled imagination that knows it is creator? And so we set intentions, plant those seeds, intentions of consciousness to anchor in Leo during the course of this month. Tomorrow, new moon is August 14th, 2015. This is a Friday. This is Venus's day. 6:12 a.m. Pacific Standard Time at 21 degrees and 27 minutes, Leo. So before I look to the charts, here's a little decoder ring if you don't know the glyphs. If you do, I have a bunch of the asteroid goddesses, Pallas Athena, Vesta, Juno, and I'm not sure why this is not showing our fourth. Interesting. Anyway, Juno in this software is shown as this glyph, not as her conventional glyph. So if you know the asteroid goddesses, oh, here's the fourth series, okay? Juno might show up a little bit differently. I've also left Eris on these charts because I feel she's very important here. Eris looks a little bit different, but basically she's kind of a upside down Mars. Interesting, she's shown more like Venus here. So to the chart, this is the new moon chart, right? Moon and sun together, 21 degrees, 27 minutes, Leo. Tomorrow, August 14th. Now there are all sorts of aspects or geometrical relationships between the planets that are significant on this chart. And I'm not going to get into all of them for the sake of brevity. But just to show a few, Mercury opposed to Neptune, but what I really want to bring in is a few things. Look how close the North Node, the forward direction of our collective consciousness, is to the autumnal equinox point of 0 Libra. The nodes move retrograde, and the node has been in Libra since February 17th of 2014. It won't ingress into Virgo until November 11th this year. But this is about relationship. We are in a time very much devoted to relationship. So what does Leo, what does self-love have to do with relationship? There's this square to Saturn that will come very alive during the first quarter moon, so we'll look at that then. But what I really want to look at is this trine to Uranus in Aries. Almost a perfect trine to the sun and the moon in Leo here. And Uranus is conjunct Eris, okay? Eris is said to be the goddess of discord. She's currently called a dwarf planet. She's twice as far from the sun as Pluto. She moves very slowly, so all of us have Eris in Aries on our chart. But this is the first time since the 1920s that Uranus, the lightning bolt of revolution, of change, has come to align to Eris. It won't make a first exact conjunction until 2016, and there'll be 3 of them next year, because Uranus stationed retrograde on July 26th of this year before it made an exact alignment, but they are pretty close. So how can we change Eris, who the myths tell us, the sister of Mars, was the goddess of discord, the one who threw the golden apple into the wedding of Peleus, marked Callisti for the fairest, the apple that the goddesses fought over, the apple that in a sense began the Trojan War. And this goddess of war in Aries, this fight for independence and feminine, to regain that spark, yeah? And so how can we change that energy of the goddess of discord, this trine to the sun and the moon, to the new moons, this trine to Venus as she's being born anew in the sign of Leo for her 19-month quest to regain the scepter, the sovereign scepter and throne of the queen. How can we relax some of the scar tissue of the heart that's made us warrior out in a sense of independence that would keep us from relationship? And this is a south node in Aries, north node in Libra type of conversation. We see it really activated at the time of this new moon. Moving forward into the first quarter moon, okay, the second week of this month, the second principal phase. It looks like a half moon, but it's a quarter way through the cycle. And this is the time when the seeds that we've planted at new moon sprout. So there's some tension, okay? We're meant to look at our perceptions. The plant sprouts, it's exposed to the winds and the rains. There's some conflict, but conflict for the sake of resolution. You've got to bend a plant so it can grow strong, and this is the service of the wind. And in this first quarter moon, this is a service also conducted by the ringed one, Saturn. Here's the chart of the first quarter moon. The sun still in Leo, 29 degrees 20 minutes. So the moon is 29 degrees 20 minutes Scorpio, in a very close conjunction to Saturn. 28 degrees 37 minutes Scorpio at this point. On September 17th, 2015, during the next moon cycle, during the Virgo moon cycle, Saturn will ingress to Sagittarius and will not return to Scorpio for 27 years. So this time to finish the Saturn and Scorpio process that began in October of 2012 when Saturn first ingressed into the sign. It is a ripping open of the heart. How can we find that true, authentic experience and expression of our deepest passions, desires, and excitement? And in this time of tension, how does that align to the intentions, the seeds planted in the way of self-love and play and joy and manifestation, these divine Leo principles? So can we own our Scorpio magic, the powers of the heart and of our blood, and do this in a way of high conduct, of sovereignty? It's a very crucial time in the Venus dance as well at this time of first quarter moon, because Venus, when she gets 10 degrees from the sun, as she will be at this time of August 22nd, 2015, she is now visible in the morning sky. She makes conjunction to the sun very shortly after the new moon on Friday, August 14th. She is conjunct on August 15th, on Saturday, Saturn's day, by the way. But it is this time, August 22nd, where she is now 10 degrees from the sun. And that means she's far enough away that she can be seen just for a moment before sunrise. Makes the sky too light for us to see the brilliance of the goddess Venus. This is called her heliacal rising when she is first seen. In many senses, in her 19-month cycle that will be seeded on August 15th with that interior conjunction with the sun, that alignment of Earth, Venus, Sun, in a sense a new Venus. This is the time when the goddess is reborn in the east, and she will quickly rise in the morning sky and spend 9 months about in the morning sky in her 19-month dance, her Synodic cycle. So again, tensions from Scorpio to Leo. Can we be a sovereign ruler and creator, but can we do that for the sake of the authentic heart and the magic and the power? This is a dynamic conversation, and you can see how Venus at this time is also trining that Uranus Eris conjunction I mentioned before. Mars is the masculine principle, also in Leo, is now aligning to these asteroid goddesses, Pallas Athena, goddess of wisdom, and Vesta, the sacred flame. Why? Why do this service? Yeah, so the fire is very rich at this time, and the water might try to put it out. So our calling is to find a balance between the fire of will and the water of heart. We move forward to full moon, the time of flowering, the time of illumination, this opposition of moon and sun, moon on the other side of earth than the sun, opposition carrying so much negative connotation. But this is really a time of the moon's full brilliance, as we know at full moon. And so a time of illumination. Those conflicts that came in during the first quarter moon week, the sprouting week, now we start to understand why they were aligned to the intentions we set. Consciousness through perceptions starts blossoming into the flowering of mindfulness. And we understand perhaps what we need to release, what we need to destroy, so that we can receive, so that we can create. And this full moon will be at 6 degrees and 8 minutes Pisces on August 29th, 2015, around noon. Here's the sun having now ingressed into Virgo in conjunct Jupiter, which I would love to talk about all day. We see Mercury at the North Node, bringing the mind to this collective calling into relationship. We see the relationship of Yin and Yang, Venus and Mars, building here. And they now are in this very strong grand fire trine to those asteroid goddesses, Pallas Athena and Sagittarius, smoke that rises to the heavens, Vesta, the goddess that keeps the flames lit in the spark of Aries. And we see the full moon here, 6 degrees, 8 minutes Pisces, aligned to Neptune. Neptune in so many senses, as it has been for some time and will be for many years moving forward, at home in the sign of Pisces, because in so many respects Neptune is the planetary professor of Pisces school. So what about this Pisces full moon? How does that bring illumination to the Leo seeds that we set? And the sun now conjunct Jupiter, really being expanded into Virgo, the sacred, what are we devoted to, what is our yoga, what is our practice. But remember, in this moon game, we're talking about the intentions that were set at new moon. So in the sign of Leo, how does Pisces illuminate Leo? So what is Pisces, right? The fish. And I love this glyph so much. It kind of reminds me of two lovers holding hands. And when we look to Pisces on the traditional wheel of life through these 12 archetypes, the traditional beginning with Aries, the sign of self, coming into the Atman, out of the Pisces waters of the womb at the time of birth, moving through the birth canal into you. And we move through the 12 before we return to Pisces, transcendence, ascension, connecting to source, healing, the compassion, the one heart, yeah? But we don't get to Pisces until we move through Aquarius. Aquarius, the third air sign. And I want to look at the three air signs because I love this imagery of their glyphs in this conversation of the dance between Yin and Yang. Gemini, the pillars, the two, division, duality. Why is there feminine and masculine? Why is there night and day? What is duality all about here in the Earth game? Well, by the time we get to Libra, we see the two lying together now horizontally in balance. And sacred geometry teaches us that the curved line is the feminine and the straight line is the masculine. So here the feminine and the masculine lie together in equality, in harmony. I mean, from this symbolic point of view, this is even more equal than an equal sign. Partnership, communication, peace, Libra. So might we expect then by the time we get to Aquarius, we would just have one line, the two come fully merged together. And that's not what we see. But the two rigid lines, these waves, so many think that Aquarius, traditionally represented by the constellation of the water bearer, is a water sign. But these are not water waves. These are energy waves, air waves, chi, ki, ka, prana, pneumos, yeah? And what do we see? They haven't merged into one line. They find this power, this energy, by staying apart. Because this study, through the air signs of consciousness, we find that duality is not division. It is polarity. In the study of relating the two, we know that we cannot have power from energy without electricity, which demands the negative and the positive charge. So it's not total independence and separation. It's not total dependence and absolute merging. It's interdependence. How can the yin and the yang empower one another by staying separate yet relating? Interdependence. And Aquarius teaches us this. And then we get to Pisces. And so we see the two, yeah? Bending away from each other, but in this maybe tantric pose, in holding hands. In these two fish, yeah? The yin and the yang, the feminine and the masculine, the sun and the moon, as we see here during the time of the moon game. So let me pause to drink a couple cups of moon and sun, and of the most important planet, Earth. The yin and the yang, perhaps better expressed through Venus and Mars. Again, Venus, the feminine, the circle of spirit over the cross of matter, bringing the source of sun into Earth. And then Mars, creative, projecting it out. Once they're in balance, we can inhale and exhale harmoniously. We need to do both. So bringing this balance to the yin and the yang, to the night and the day, to the feminine and to the masculine, to the Venus and Mars. And so this is very beautiful because very shortly after that Pisces full moon, well, the sun is still aligned to Neptune. In fact, almost exactly so. Look at this opposition. Sun at 8 degrees 28 minutes Virgo, Neptune 8 degrees 24 minutes Pisces. The Sun-Neptune opposition comes to us once a year, and it's when Neptune is closest to Earth. So these energies of Pisces healing and compassion and merging are coming to participate in this Moonth's game in such a strong way. We see the moon now moving forward to conjunct Vesta and trine Pallas Athena, and then trine together Venus and Mars, who are conjunct in the sign of Leo. Okay, August 31st, 14 degrees, 50 minutes Leo. This is the cross quarter point between spring equinox at 0 degrees Aries. This is the cross quarter point between the summer solstice at 0 degrees Cancer and autumnal equinox at 0 degrees Libra. We can see how close the North Node is getting now. And Mercury right there to bring our consciousness. Jupiter still empowering and expanding the sun, now in Virgo, devotion, what is sacred, but having planted those seeds in the sign of Leo. And here are Venus and Mars together, conjunct for the second time of this year of 2015. They have 3 exact conjunctions this year. The first was on February 21st, 2015, in the very early degrees, in the 2nd degree of Aries, a place of new beginnings. All right, set out to say, okay, where is the yin and the yang now? What do we have to change? What patterns do we have to purge so we can really come back together? And since that time of February, Mars has undergone a 4-month initiation in the underworld under the beams of the sun. If you've been listening to my podcast, I've been very focused on that. If you haven't been, please check out the 5th and 6th episodes. Mars and Athena was the 5th, and the story of Rapunzel the 6th, because I'm really going into the stance of Venus and Mars this year in my coming episodes will focus on that as well. So Venus now having gone under the beams of the sun, being reborn in the morning sky, or heliacal rising, this new quest of the Leo goddess, and they meet together now in the morning sky. It was evening sky in February, and now in the morning, at this very significant degree of the zodiac, the 15th degree of Leo, that cross quarter point, that middle point between summer solstice, the sun at its height, and autumnal equinox, the balance of day and night. This is a place in the traditional systems where we would celebrate lamas, abundance. Yeah, so what is the abundance of harvest? What are we harvesting in this opportunity this year through these 3 Venus-Mars conjunctions to rewrite our relationship to relationship itself? How does the moon at the spark of Aries with Vesta, the keeper of the sacred flame, empower this? How does the wisdom of the seeking nature of Sagittarius and philosophy, the service to spirit of the fire, the smoke that rises, how in this beautiful grand fire trine that we've seen enacted in so many ways during the course of this month, how does this feed into this dance of yin and yang coming together? Venus and Mars will travel together in the morning sky for the coming months after the second conjunction on August 31st. Venus will go a little further from Mars, and then she'll station direct and come back and meet him again on November 2nd. So this is a very beautiful time for this commitment of yin and yang. We've been through our initiations on both sides. What have you released? What have you purged? And I hear you talking that talk, but are you willing to walk the walk? Are you willing to rewrite relationship to relationship itself within and without, and to bring this battle of yin and yang to a close so we can truly live in harmony? So they might not really know about it yet. Longitudinally, in the zodiac, they're entirely conjunct, but in the sky, they are pretty far apart by latitude, by declination. You have to watch the sky. You don't see this on a chart. And it's just, to me, she's like coming back to be like, all right, man, I see you, but yeah, are you real about this thing? And she wants to check it out for a few months. And then that third conjunction, which will be in the sign of Virgo, very close to where Juno is. At this second Venus-Mars conjunction, Juno, the asteroid goddess of relationship, their third conjunction there on November 2nd will feature them very close side by side and very high in the morning sky before sunrise. So is this commitment of planting Leo seeds of self-love a service to loving one another? Of course it is. We've been taught that independence, that self-love would be poison to balanced relationship, and we all know this is not true. It is the very medicine of balanced relationship. How can we love ourselves so much that we don't need the love of another and corrupt that giving of our intimacy with a partner or a collaborator in any way through that greed of need? Yeah, so taking back the roaring flames of self-love is a beautiful service in our quest to love another. So we move now to the last principal phase of this moon game, the last quarter moon, when now the fruit is ripe and ready for the tasting, the eating, the integration, the wisdom. And now this moon at 12 degrees, 29 degrees Gemini, right, square to the sun, is no longer conjunct any planets. This comes to us on September 5th, 2015. The first of this moon's very powerful moon game that is not conjunct other planets, but very significant alignments. Of course, the square to the sun, we know that that's what third quarter means. And the third quarter, though it's this time of wisdom, that does not mean that there is not tension, which tends to be an energy of a square aspect, because now there has been wisdom. We've learned to integrate those seeds that were tensed and then illuminated. But can we eat that fruit? Can we own that? And then can we release the seeds to sow them into the soil that will hold the seeds of the next month's game, which will be in Virgo, starting with the new moon a week after this third quarter moon, right? But you can see the moon here not only squaring Neptune, okay, where it was conjunct during the full moon, but of course squared to the sun and aligned in this grand cross to now Pallas Athena in Sagittarius, who is with Neptune and Sun in a T-square or a grand cross with the moon. So this cultivation of healing energy through what is sacred and the wisdom of the seeker to bring back Gemini, play, youthfulness, that unbridled imagination of eternal youth that allows us to know we can do anything we want in this dynamic and beautiful earth game, that we can create whatever it is. So let us create this attention. We see this sextile here, to Venus and Mars still together in the morning sky, to balancing the yin and the yang energies, and not to get too serious about it, right? The Leo Queen and King that can feel so responsible, but no, it's an honor. And when we do this in that beautiful brilliance of Leo play and self-love, we're reminded to tap into our eternally youthful energy as a pursuit of truth and a pursuit of that duality, so we can find our way to the true magic of polarity, the interdependence of yin and yang, so they can be themselves but interrelate in such a way that they empower one another. So there it is, folks, the 2015 Leo moon game. I hope this helps guide your intentions for the sacred time of new moon, which comes our way Friday, August 14th, on the day of Venus, Friday, Freya, Viernes, Venus, the goddess of love. And I love you, and I love me, or at least this month. I'll be working on it. Thank you so much for listening. This is Gemini Brett, your friendly astronaut, signing off. I will see you in space.